And now, the moment you've all been waiting for.
Instead, he's pulled into a sex room with all these women being all... And then you see him kind of stumbling out of the tent later, presumably pent up with stress and unrelieved tension.
Boners. What do you mean?
Blue balls. Total blue balls. So I don't know why I'm bringing up that particular scene in the...
Is that the informational part of the Marco Polo, is it?
Good evening and welcome to Is It a Bicycle? Season 7, Episode 26. The original and bestest ever TV and movie podcast. My name is Stephen Wrigley and I'll be your host for this evening. Beside me is a man who took 3 flights in a row recently and is about to fill us with tales of travel which was both inconvenient and hilarious. It's Sean, I love cans, Leonard. In the red corner, it's our cuddly killer, a man who says that fighting a war on drugs beats fighting a war sober. It's Mark, superhero, Leonard. Also, we're joined by a lady who says she likes to jingle all the way. It's Shona, I love Canadian. This week, we hope to discuss we're going to discuss a movie in the shape of Nightcrawler and some TV in the form of Ascension and Marco Polo. We'll also have some news and some previews and coming to a bicycle near you. So, how are we doing?
Great form.
Christmas 1 week out. How are we doing? Everybody's together. Come on now. 1, 2, 3.
Merry Christmas to
everything
the people
is awesome.
who listen to us talk about Christmas movies.
Tell us about your inconvenient and hilarious travel stories.
Oh, good. Excellent. Well, I'm white and Irish, so I got through security very easily, constantly. So that was hilarious. Also, when I was on the flight back, from the last one, it was Newark to Shannon, which is in Ireland. I was sitting next to almost exclusively Irish people, which I didn't really expect. But the staff of United Airlines, as lovely as they were American. And one lady decided she was going to learn the name of everybody on the plane. And holy shit, Steve, she did a great job. However, I was sitting next to Dimfna. Which means that when this lady walked down the aisles, she went, and what's your name? And I heard 4 Seans before me. And I was very impressed because I was like, oh, I'm another Sean. And she went, how do you spell it? And I went, aw, thank you. And it's spelled S-H-A-U-N, which is only right half the time on the Is It a Bicycle website. And then she was like, okay, that's Sean. Okay, cool, Sean. And what's your name? And the lady went, Dimfna. And she went, So I'm not kidding. She spent, throughout the entire flight, it was a full 4 minutes, interspersed various times of asking her name. And the lady at one point, who was obviously next to me, so I heard everything she said to her husband, was just like, I'm just going to pretend I've, like, another name. I'm going to say Jane. From now on, I'm going to be like, oh, I'm Jane. And she did say that. She did. And then eventually the lady got it right. She just started going, Dimfna. And I was like, yes, well done. Yes, well done. Excellent.
Done. Yeah.
So that's my funny travel story.
Very good. Well, that brings us on to what else have you seen? I presume you saw lots of movies.
On the 3 planes? Yes, Steve, I did.
Yeah, so what you see this week?
So the 4 movies I watched were in this order, and I didn't pick winners, let me be honest. So I started with Let's Be Cops, which is a movie I watched because I like the main 2 actors because of their roles in the TV series New Girl. Their chemistry was great, and their improvs were very good. But the script did not capitalize on the idea of the story well enough. The idea being they dress up as cops for a costume party and then realize that they're getting a lot of respect and, shall we say, poontang pie, and decide that they're going to just keep doing it. And one of them gets way too invested, and then there's an actual mafia thing, etc., etc. I don't know what it was that didn't make this movie work. I'm not sure if it was a lack of money or a lack of ideas, or if I had to peg it on anything, I'd say the director. Because there really wasn't any flair to anything of it. It was another comedy that was just point the camera at the funny people and let them say things that are basic and common.
Yeah.
So that's only a 5 out of 10. Let's Be Cops.
Right.
Very simply and easily.
How to Train Your Dragon 2.
The best of the flights. How to Train Your Dragon 2 is a class movie.
I enjoyed it too.
I mean,
pretty good, yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon 1 is a very, very well done film in terms of action as well as in terms of just kid adventure and humor.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon 2 I thought wouldn't be as good simply because of sequels, but Jesus, like I have to say I was very impressed. On this tiny little screen on a seat in front of me.
Yeah.
I was very impressed with the spectacle that they managed to put on. And the emotions they put in these characters that are not real, and everyone knows that because it's animation. I was very impressed with the way that they drew the acting.
I thought it was hilarious, actually.
It was good. I very
yeah.
much appreciated it.
Yeah.
I don't know what number I'd give that. Probably something 7, I think.
Yeah.
I think I was up around there too.
Yeah.
I watched that film for this podcast on a Saturday afternoon. Kids film on a Saturday afternoon. The worst possible time to see a movie like that. But I still enjoyed it. So it's quite good. It's transcendent even.
I think
Wow, transcendent.
so. That's a big word. That's true. The next one on my list, Steve, what was it?
Hercules.
Yeah. So The Rock is great. He's my favorite. But The Rock is best, I think, when you just put a camera on him and go do the things that you like. Hercules is a good action movie, in my opinion. It's cliched, but it was always going to be. But the real genius of the idea is that they go, no, Hercules isn't a god at all. These are just the stories that have survived him as a hero, and that have been propagated by the members of his company. So I thought that they did a great job. That was an interesting thing I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And they did a great job of going, this is what this character is, very, very quickly.
Yeah.
I thought that was amazingly quick. Very well done. If I had any complaint about it, I would say I wish that Hercules could have been on his own a little bit more. And if they'd pulled more out of The Rock, then...
Yeah. It was a bit more Hercules and his band of merry men.
Yeah, which is fine. And maybe that's a thing where they were aiming for sequels or stuff.
Yeah.
But I follow The Rock on Facebook, for loads of reasons. But he described there's a particular scene at the end, that he described where he strains against these chains that he's tied against. And Dwayne Johnson describes how he literally was tied into these manacles.
Oh, yeah.
And then he pulled them until he passed out twice.
Seriously?
Yeah, he tried to get out both fucking times. Like literally, he went, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether he didn't describe the initial, he didn't go, and then eventually, I got them. He literally just went, I did this and I screamed, my line as hard as I could, and I strained against them. And I didn't wait for them to say cut. I just kept going until I couldn't anymore.
Wow.
So he employed the method of acting.
Not even that. It's not that he
Investment.
thinks he is Hercules. It's that he knows the weight of the character of Hercules. And he did everything he possibly could in his power to try and live up to that. Which is crazy when it's a god-like, if not a god-type character. So I thought it was a good action movie, but not a great one.
This is a very in-depth review for the What Did You Watch This Week?
Apologies. I was on a plane for a very long time. I thought about this.
Have you not talked to human beings in a long time?
It's been a while. It was just Dimf, and me for so long. I give it a 6 out of 10. I think there's better that we can get out of The Rock as seen in Fast 5 and various other films.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd hit quite 6 with that, actually, myself. But yeah.
I can completely understand that.
You saw Her, eventually. All right,
No,
okay.
no, embargo. Save it for the bikies. No one blow their load.
Okay.
Jesus, Shona. Leave
Shona
my
is
load
unusually
alone.
concerned with our load being blown. So Friday night was my Christmas party.
Yeah.
You all know how the staff party goes, right?
Yeah.
You go along and
Kiss
you go
people
to a
you
table with
shouldn't.
the people that you work with, and you try not make a fool of yourself. You try not to drink very much,
And then
right?
you do both.
Well, here's what my work colleagues did. They decided to drink as much as humanly possible so that they wouldn't be concerned with whether they made fools of themselves or not. So just to give you an example of the kind of shenanigans we get up to, this is what I was doing while I wasn't watching films, by the way. At one stage, one of my mates came over to me and said, come here. We're on the dance floor. And I wasn't really dancing. I was trying to avoid dancing because not being a drinker on the dance floor it's always an awkward space. So he pulls me over to one corner of the dance floor. He goes, wait there. And I said, why? At his retreating back, because I didn't know what was coming next. And then I noticed that there was a very long table in front of me. They put together about 6 8-seater tables to make a really long one that would have fit like 30 people. Then I noticed that somebody had carefully taken all the glasses off the table and put them on the chairs, almost as if they were clearing it for some reason. Then I saw my friend get up on the tables down at the very bottom and start to pick up speed toward me. Now, this guy was absolutely hammered at 9 o'clock, and this is like 1 o'clock. But luckily for everybody involved, the bouncers intervened and caught him and got him down. But I'm not sure what he thought was going to happen.
Dirty
But
Dancing lift all the way.
Yeah.
I'll tell you
But I
right
think-
now, you are going to be Patrick Swayze.
But
You missed a
if I had
moment,
tried
Mark.
the Patrick Swayze lift, he would have hurtled over my head and impacted the wall behind
Listen,
me.
you're
probably.
tall.
But
We would have been fine.
my concern was that he wouldn't have thought even that far ahead and would have just jumped thinking, Mark's got this. And then we would have landed together in a heap and one of us at least would have died. But, that gives you a bit of an idea about how our Christmas party went.
With that, we're going to the news. Right, first bit of news today. Sean, you had something from Sony, I believe, or from...
The Sony hack.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So there's so much data coming out of this Sony hack that people are still trawling through it at a rate that, even though it's fast, it can't get to all of it. And the people who hacked Sony are promising Christmas-sized bundles of data. So even more stuff, apparently.
I believe it's actually arrived.
Oh, God.
And it's the zip file, I think the zip file is the name of the head of Sony, what's his name?
I don't
Martin
know.
something. Anyway, but yeah, so you were probably on the plane for this actually, but the attackers have threatened a 9/11 like attack.
What?
Yeah,
What?
on movie theaters that screen the Interview, which is the North Korean
Right, what
comedy.
they're
Well, the
protesting.
North Korea
So,
comedy.
They also,
the American
yeah,
comedy.
the American. They also released the promised Christmas gift of files, and the contents of the files are unknown, but it's called Michael Linton,
Oh,
who
God.
is the CEO of Sony. Yeah. So the actual full text of of what they released is warning.
Mm-hmm.
We'll clearly show. Hang on. We'll clearly show it to you at the very time and places the interview be shown, including the premiere. How bitter fate those who seek fun in terror should be doomed to. Right? That's the first. Now, it's a bit clearer the rest of it. Soon all of the world will see what an awful movie Sony Pictures Entertainment has made. The world will be full of fear. Remember the 11th September 2001. We recommend you keep yourself distant from the places at that time. If your house is nearby, you better leave.
Jesus.
Whatever comes in the coming days is called by decree to Sony Pictures Entertainment. All the world will denounce the Sony. More to come.
Whoa. That's a terror threat.
Oh yeah,
Not
Like, everyone on the
funny.
internet received a terror threat.
it is, yeah.
Whereas such a high percentage of news outlets are just going, oh, class, we've got loads of spoilers.
Yeah.
Like, it's a serious, serious
Yeah,
shit.
well, that is, I mean, releasing emails and that kind of thing, it's,
Well, if you have people's
just
home addresses
material,
and
yeah.
phone numbers.
well, actually, yeah, secure.
I know a guy who
numbers,
works
yeah.
at Sony. His name is
yeah.
Martin Oren Uskerson. And he, like, jokingly on Facebook was like, so, what should I change my name to? But that's a conversation people have.
Oh, really?
I mean, they have their name, and if they don't want to quit their jobs, then there's an immediate link already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very serious. Imagine if your work information was released everywhere. Everywhere.
Yeah.
And the projects you were working on.
Yeah.
It's super serious shit. I don't know. I wish that there was something fun or just, I don't know, enlightening or just really like nice that we could get out of. Oh wait, hold on. So Channing Tatum wrote an email right around the time that 22 Jump Street unseated Ted as, I believe, the second highest grossing R-rated movie of all time for an opening weekend. And the email that Channing Tatum wrote was something along these lines. Fuck you, Ted. We're making Kate Blanchett money. Ah ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. For approximately 7 A4 pages.
Yeah.
So at least that good came out of it. Thank you, terrorists, for what you've done.
What else I want to talk about? Fargo. So, second season.
2 casting things.
2 cast members.
Here we go.
Kirsten Dunst
You will remember her from Spider-Man and various other films that aren't as important.
and Jesse Plemons.
Who you will remember from Breaking Bad and various other TV series which are not as important.
Yeah, exactly. He was in The Master as well.
And Olive
he was in
Kitteridge.
Fight Ship.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Oh, he's got a very square and evil head on him.
Yeah.
I'm very excited about season 2 of Fargo.
Yeah.
If they can manage to do it as well as they did this season, then I will have a new overall favorite TV show.
Yeah.
Like, ever.
I'm wondering how they're, will they do more like tie-ins with the movie like they did in
I don't
the
think
first
that they
season?
need to. I mean,
Well, they don't need to, but they're nice. They're like Easter eggs.
Yeah, they are like Easter eggs. Here's the thing. If they don't have a somewhat similar plot, I don't know how that season of Fargo can work. Because if there's no killer, if there's no roving guy that they need to catch,
Yeah.
then how's it going to work? You know what I mean? Like, they'll need to have some kind of a plot that involves high stakes,
Yeah.
presumably murder, or at the very least big crime,
Yeah.
with people who are not prepared. Because if they don't do that, then it's not what I want from Fargo.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think Jesse Plemons is capable of any amount of violence or ineptitude, and that's a good thing. Kirsten Dunst, this might be the show that wins people over to Kirsten Dunst. Because a lot of people think of her as a waif who can't act and just kind of is there to look pretty. I like her,
Yeah, I like it too.
but I've never seen her go to the level of, I don't know, any other cast member in season 1 of Fargo, for example.
Yeah. You have an opinion on Kirsten Dunst?
I was going to say, see Melancholia.
No, in fairness, yeah, everyone talks about that. And
She
did.
Melancholia's all over the place in that film. I don't know if I'd rank it
Virgin
as...
Suicides and Drop Dead Gorgeous,
Yeah.
those are movies that
Yeah.
she's great in.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, I've never
I
really
forgot about the Virgin Suicides. Man, that movie was good.
got a good memes.
You know the way they say imitation is the greatest form of flattery?
Copiers say that.
I don't know if anyone got the release from the Marvel studio today about the synopsis for the Fantastic Four movie.
No.
Nope.
It's that memo.
Okay. Well, I think you might find a certain similarity to some words that may or may not be said at the start of this very podcast. I am now quoting from the Marvel press release. The Fantastic Four, a contemporary reimagining of Marvel's original and longest running superhero team.
No way.
Yep,
true.
centers on 4 young outsiders who teleport to an alternate and dangerous universe,
what
which
we
alters
do.
their physical form in shocking ways. So apart from the fact that they're copying Steve's excellent intro, leaving out the best part, the jokes which come later, it's interesting that they're going to shake up the Fantastic Four origin story and head more over towards the Ultimates universe.
One of the Sony email things, not to harp on it too much, is that they want to potentially have a crossover of some kinds. Literally, there were emails going, hey, we think we might do an X-Men Fantastic Four crossover. Why don't you guys do a Spider-Verse crossover? You know, you can have, your Sinister Six, your Venom, and your Spider-Man movie. You should think of them more like that. Which is in complete odds with other emails that were like, hey, Marvel, if you guys get Spider-Man, what are you going to do? And they're like, oh, we're going to make Andrew Garfield go home and wash his fucking hair. That's not a critique of him, it's a critique of his hairstyle and who he is as a person.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not that I hate him and envy him for being Spider-Man, it's just that he shouldn't be and I should be. Is what I'm saying.
I said to Steve earlier today that for this podcast, all we really had to do was say to you, Sean, how are things? And then come back in an hour because you're bursting with so much information from having been traveling through 4 flights. And you would have no trouble getting interesting stories out of you.
Well, that's good.
So true.
Thanks for the confidence, Mark. Steve's trying to shut me down now, so I think I'm just going to be
He's
quiet for a
trying
bit.
desperately.
I am,
He's
yeah,
doing his
yeah.
best.
No, what I'm trying to do is move on.
Oh, no, I know, yeah, shut me
Because we're
down.
done with news now.
Oh, are we done? You get to
Unless
decide that, do you?
Another news item.
Well, I'm back in town now, so who knows what's going to happen next.
Okay. So first of our TV, let's talk about Ascension.
You made that sound like it was 2 words. Ascension.
It can be if you like.
No, it's not. Listen, I'm an editor. It's not how that works. It's
Okay.
1 word.
Okay.
A is for Ascension.
Ascension.
So Ascension is new from SyFy. That's spelled SYFY because they're pricks and cowards. So Ascension is a TV series about what if back in 1951 an interstellar space travel mission was commenced, where the people who were sent off in this spaceship knew that they would never reach their destination of, founding a colony somewhere else on some other faraway planet or star. But they knew that their children or perhaps their children's children would. What would that be like? What would it be like if you take the 1951 cultural demographic, including all of the things that pop culture, race, gender, equality, etc., 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 put all those things in a ship and just send them away and see what that's like, see how they do, see how they survive, see what we can, if they're going to make it. So it's about that, and also it begins with there's a murder, which is rare. There's a murder on the ship, and an investigation is sprung into why was this person killed and how.
How long is the trip going to take?
The trip? So they're nearing the Rubicon. The Rubicon is the point of no return, as in once they get there, they can't make it back to Earth. So the events of this show are set around potentially someone is trying to do these things to see if they're gonna turn around. maybe
Yeah.
they're going to keep going despite the fact that someone's been murdered and that there's various unsettling things happening. So it's a 100-year mission, and they're into year, I think it's 50 something.
That sounds cool.
It does sound cool, doesn't it?
You know what? Something you mentioned there that I never picked up on was the race issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It never occurred to me.
Well, I mean, class issues come into effect when you have a lot of lines about the lower levels.
Yeah, I know this. I understood that bit, and that's we've seen it a couple of times, actually, in movies this year as well. Snowpiercer.
Snowpiercer.
You know, for example,
Hunger Games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I never thought of it that it was a race issue until you mentioned it there. But of course, it would be if they were projecting the
1951.
the culture from the 1950s
In America.
Yeah,
Oh my God, yeah. I mean,
that's interesting. Actually, that's another angle to it that I hadn't thought of. Yeah.
the two people that we know are from the lower levels, or at least the most focused upon ones, is there's a skeezy neckbeard redneck
Yeah.
and the black officer who had to work his way up.
Yeah.
Those are the two people we get highlighted, and I think that's on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And also, there's the woman and the current captain. But I think that's much more focused on Trisha Helfer of Battlestar Galactica being on another spaceship and not knowing how to wear clothes.
Yeah. Terrible.
Sounds hard going.
Did you see this?
No.
You didn't see this. You know what? You're gonna love this.
Really?
Yeah. See,
Love
I
it in a
think-
sarcastic way, or like love
I'm
it
just
as
gonna talk to
in
you. No, I think you're gonna love it.
you
I
know
really-
my taste enough well
No.
enough that you can
No, I
tell
think
me.
you're gonna love this. It's a
okay.
great. I really enjoyed this, and it's a really
Stuff
good
in space goes wrong. That does sound right up my alley.
Yeah, and it's a really good sci-fi show. I mean,
Cool.
it just the amount of angles it comes at you from. Granted, I missed one of them, but we're talking about.
I get you.
And it's got the greatest hook in a TV show.
Do you mean the ending of the
Yeah.
episode? I did appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
know we can't go into detail, but
Yeah.
I would like to offer an alternative reading to Shona here, in that I think that you won't like it, Shona,
Okay.
because it's not very good.
Really?
That's my opinion.
See, that hasn't stopped me in the past from liking things.
I understand. let me try that a different way.
Gotcha.
It's boring,
Oh.
and
No.
everything else in space is better than this.
Oh.
Let's go back though. Let's find a neutral, perhaps, party to
Well,
discuss this.
Yeah, there were parts of it that are sort of like, they nearly lost it, but they mustered.
Gotcha.
And then I was like, yeah, I still like this. Yeah.
Steve, what element of the episode did you find compelling enough to tell me that I would like it?
I think the whole concept.
Okay.
Yeah.
But sometimes concepts fail, so there was obviously
Now,
something in the
From the
execution.
hook back, or do you mean from the beginning?
Now, you see, the beginning, it doesn't start sci-fi so much. It's all character building, interactions,
Yes.
and the
Interstellar
form-
on Earth, gotcha.
Yeah, and the forming of
No.
you'll see it, but it's a sort of the forming of. I don't know. You get an idea for the people that are actually on the ship, but you don't know they're on the ship.
Exposition.
Yes, good man. Thank you.
Okay.
But then later on, not too later on, you sort of go and then they explain a bit more about it, and then you just go
Plot
right.
development.
Exactly.
All right, and Sean, for those reasons, what would you say I would not like about it? What in particular is boring?
Yeah, it starts off really boring. I couldn't name a single one of the characters right now.
Well, that doesn't, I never know.
I'm
like-
just saying that's the reason for that is that they can all be pretty much defined either by their job or their plot function, which isn't character.
Yeah, okay.
The basic mystery that they give us, well, again, they do have a very good reveal for the end of the episode. Congratulations, but you took an hour and 5 minutes to get there. I think that it is barely acted. Not that it's subtle, I just think that the actors that they have are fine. Trisha Helfer is good, but she's not asked to do anything difficult. No one's asked to do anything difficult or
In
complex.
that regard, it's a little bit fight chippy.
Oh, as in bad. I agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know, the there's a standard of writing. Maybe it's the writing rather than the
Well, I
acting.
don't think the writing's very good.
Yeah.
I don't think the
maybe
writing's good
maybe
or
that's
the
where I
acting's
was sort
good,
of
though.
starting to lose it, and then it regrouped.
I think that
Puts you
their
back in.
general idea is very, very clever. The general idea is very clever. There's a lot of things that you can take out of 1951 group of people who sleeps with who. It seems like there's a hierarchy, not just in terms of the levels, but also in terms of genetic matches seem to be deciding marriages and deciding who has sex with who for birthing purposes. And also, any group of human beings in a closed system. Let's go back to thermodynamics and the second law, which I believe something along the lines of, and Mark, you might be able to correct me on this, but in a closed system, all things tend towards entropy. That's the kind of thing that I would have liked to have heard or seen in this show. Whereas instead what I got was, they're in an interesting place that looks like if 1951 and 2055 had sex and their baby was really pretty. Like, the sets are beautiful and the idea of the world is great, except they don't do as good of a job as a lot of really, like, I'm comparing it to Battlestar Galactica, and that's whoever cast Trisha Helfer's fault.
Yeah.
Like, that's a real, I was going, is this the new Battlestar Galactica? And within 5 minutes I went, no. Like, and it's, again, it is unique in the landscape of television now because it's about people in space trying to achieve X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But beyond that, I don't see what's original about it in terms of sci-fi at all.
But it doesn't have to be original to be good.
It doesn't. But it needs to be either original, and that makes it interesting enough for me to want to watch it, or good, and that makes it good enough for me to want to watch it, or some combination
Did
of
you not
both.
think it was original? Have you seen something like this before?
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, for example, and it's not a great example, but Life on Mars, the US version, had a similar conceit. The idea of a group of people trying to get to Mars and being put in pods, and what are they thinking about at that time? So that's Life on Mars, US version. But, I don't know. I mean, you need to get somewhere in space. That's going to be tough. I mean, that's the basic idea, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's a bad idea for a show. I'm just saying that I can't point to the characters and go, 3 things about this guy, personality traits. 2 things about this person. You know what I mean? I can't do that. All I have is, there's a woman and she has sex with people for reasons. And there's a guy and he wants to investigate stuff. And there's a captain and he wants to be captain. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I see a lot of plot,
kind of plot forming.
Not a lot of character.
Yeah. What are you going to give it then? Filler? You're not going to watch anymore?
Well, it said on SyFy that it was a 3-night event, right? That's what it said, on the little, bottom left majigger.
Okay.
Which to me means 3 episodes, all of them about an hour long, over the course of 3 nights. And the hook is good enough that I want to watch the trailer for the 2nd episode.
Alright.
However, I do not care what happens to these people. If they started the next episode, or if they had started this episode, with an entire section of the ship being blown to shit, if they'd killed the main character in this episode, I would have gone, that's what I like about the show, and I wouldn't have shed a single tear. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't care about it, so I have to give it filler.
Okay.
You have a different opinion.
Yeah,
Feel free to disagree and tell me why.
No, I do disagree. And I'm going to give it a trailer. I'm definitely watching more of this.
Because it's...
You showed him, Steve.
Just really enjoyed it. I think it's original. Massive hook at the end, which is fantastic. And
if we could talk about it, that'd be great.
it would, yeah.
Ah, well.
So go watch it.
Or, alternatively,
Don't.
read, I don't know, T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland for an hour.
Okay, next up we've got the first of our movies. The only movie actually is Nightcrawler. Mark, do you want to tell us a bit about Nightcrawler?
A desperate young man is desperate to find work which he's looking for desperately. And he finds himself working as a nightcrawler, who is a person that ambulance chases at night, appropriately, and takes video footage of accidents and various things and then tries to sell them to TV studios. Nightcrawler in this film is played by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. What do we think of this? Shauna?
It was really good. I really liked it. Jake, is it Jake Gyllenhaal?
It is indeed Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
I wasn't going to make a point about it, but now that Shona has...
Well, I don't know how to say his name unless I needed clarification.
You're right, it's Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's Jake Gyllenhaal. Mark is correct in that he's wrong. It's Jake Gyllenhaal.
That's what I said.
Right.
Yep.
He does such a good job. Like, I'd heard rumors about his performance in this film, so I was excited to see it just for his performance. And as of the first minute of the film, when he appears on screen, you can just tell he's really embodied this character. I mean, everything from, his facial expressions. I mean, down to like even his face when it's resting. I mean, it's all a completely different person from the actor who I would be, you know, familiar with. The way that he holds his eyes, and he's more gaunt, and you just kind of, desperate is absolutely the word, Mark.
And you mentioned that he was gaunt. Jake saw this character as being kind of like a coyote, like always moving, always scavenging. So he lost 25 pounds to get that lean look, so he could look coyote-ish.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, well, it definitely makes him creepy. And I think you were right in your opening, Mark, in terms of in using the word desperate, because I think that comes across so early on, and it's the desperation that makes everything build.
I would like to argue with the synopsis. I don't think for a second that he's desperate at any point. I think that Jake Gyllenhaal is playing, I don't know if it's a perfect psychopath.
I don't think he's desperate for work.
Or a perfect sociopath.
Or desperate for power?
I think he's desperate for work at the start, no?
No, he's
desperate, though.
He's categorically desperate, right? He is also a sociopath.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if sociopaths can be desperate in that kind of a sense, though. Like, literally, I don't think they're capable.
But he is, though. In the opening scene, when he's talking to the guy in the scrapyard, right? He's just stolen a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? And he is pitching the guy that he's selling stolen goods to for a job. Right? And he's obviously practiced this a lot, and he's put a lot of effort into it because it's the job that he wants.
It's a job that he would take, yeah.
And he comes across as desperate. And then when he finds himself working as a Nightcrawler, when he's exposed to the world of Nightcrawlers, right, he sees, well, maybe this is something that I could do. And then he throws himself at that with the same energy, you know. And for me, I think just in Jake's performance, it seemed like he was playing it as a man who would do literally anything to get work. And I think he's speaking for a large swath of the population that's around at the minute, right? You have a whole load of people coming out of college year after year with very little hope of getting work. And they have to be able to do this, you know, this big pitch. And they're doing it all the time in interviews and stuff. And I think he was just an expression of that type of personality. That circumstance more than a personality.
I think that's a great point, and one of the reasons why the movie is so timely. But I generally just saw him as a sociopathic, almost not even desperate, but obsessive. And like the genius of this movie, I think, is in the writing. Jake Gyllenhaal is great, but the way that they can hold on to certain like even ideas of scenes. Like there's so much bargaining in this movie. There's so many scenes where people banter about money, and they're compared with like thievery, while comparing it with the world of entertainment news, and crimes in general.
That's a big discussion point right there. I'm interested to hear what Shona has to say about it, because their approach to the morality of night crawling is very, very interesting. What did you think, Shona?
In terms of the morality of it?
Yeah.
I didn't really have a personal opinion of it. I've read blog posts about the film talking about the, you know, critique of news media these days and kind of its scavenging approach to it. I don't really have a personal opinion that way. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but the morality of the film in terms of the character was very interesting to watch. I think that they did a great job, and I would say it's at least half of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance, as well as, you know, the writing and the direction. Sean, I'd give a little more credence to Jake's performance there, because I think he does a great job of very subtly intensifying his desperation, his sociopathic obsessions, whatever it is. He does a great job of making that more and more intense, and building that to something to the point where you're just like, this guy is completely amoral. Mm-hmm. He will do whatever it takes. Yeah. And then you're just kind of sitting there thinking like, Jesus Christ, where will he stop?
Yeah. I remember watching at minute 20, I think it was, I was just going, this guy is nuts.
First act ends.
Yeah, what?
The first act ends.
Oh, yeah, I guess I think he might have been talking to Rene Russo, who I want to get back to as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And it was the first time that he'd sort of really talked to her, saying it was something that he references back to later on in the movie. Something that he says to her. Yeah. But it was the way he did it and the intensity, and it was like, he is so sure. Like, it's not like I'm telling you it might happen or I'm striving for this. This is going to happen.
This is how it's going to happen.
This is how it's going to happen too.
I believe in my work ethic.
Yeah. He was just like, it's just, this is the way it's going to be. He just came across as such a smart guy and such a mentalist at the same time.
Yeah.
But very well...
Very premeditative. Like,
yes,
I mean,
that's
he
what I was gonna say,
counters
very
everybody's...
researched and so on, yeah.
So the reason that I keep swinging back towards the writing is because this is a movie about a guy whose express purpose is, I'm going to get video footage of people going through very difficult things with people do harm to them. I'm going to show these people on the worst days of their lives. I'm going to do my very best to show the terrible part of humanity. And we watch this film, which is exactly that. Like, I genuinely think that it's layered in such a way that we can go, yes, this is a person who does this. But then we have a love story with a person who is not a sociopath, who is not a psychopath, played inexorably well by Rene Russo, who is simply just a news person, who is simply, I want ratings.
Yeah.
And I know how we get them. She is the epitome of a bad human, as opposed to a broken one, as opposed to one who is lacking.
I thought she was another example of desperation, but that of a different kind.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's desperate to get on. I take your point, but I didn't see this as a love story. I thought they were using each other as a means to an end, which is like the opposite of a love story, you know?
Like, they almost look at each other
love
with
someone and
contempt.
use them at the same time.
I think that those two people can only love people that they use. I'm not saying that it is a love story in the sense that they have a perfect or pure love of any kind. All I'm saying is that I think that they found someone who shares the ridiculously immoral or amoral values that they have. Rene Russo, I think, immoral, and Jake Gyllenhaal's character, I think, amoral. And I think that especially in their last few scenes together, it showed how they connected on a level that they couldn't with other people, which is why I call it a love story.
I found there was really interesting development in their relationship where, like, you see when he's kind of handling her, like what you were talking about, Steve, you know, like he's premeditative and really planning every step in every relationship, whether it's a business transaction or whatever.
It's amazing, actually.
And he backs her into a corner and you can almost see the contempt on her face. And then it's almost like she needed to reach that contempt for him before, like, he breaks her, and she almost, like, respects him for it. And it's really interesting to see that development.
And the way that I saw it was every single relationship and every single thing he does, he views as transaction and views as business.
Yeah.
In no way, like, he literally goes, this for this.
Yes.
You see,
Yeah.
That's where I'd agree with you where you first said that the writing brought it out, because those conversations were fantastic. And
They were
the
pinpoint.
premeditated and the research and all that kind of stuff. It really made the character
Believable when they shouldn't be.
But when he's not talking, he's still the character. You know what I mean? And you still
great job.
think, oh my god, he's brilliant. You know, so.
Can I?
And I have to say, I wasn't a massive fan of him before this, but I have a newfound respect.
Yeah.
For him. Really do.
I was thinking that while I was watching the film, I was like, this is a whole new gear of his that I haven't seen. Like, I've liked films he's done, like Source Code and whatever, but this is, a whole other breadth of his acting skills that we haven't seen before, and definitely respect him for it.
The Gylenhal-isms?
Yeah, Gylenhal.We. I have to praise the music, because I didn't know what was going on for a while, right? But I figured it out. It was inspirational music, I think played in a minor key. Or something like that. It was, cause the music they were using was always, he would make a speech or he'd be talking to someone and it would be like, ba, 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 ba. But it was always wrong. Like,
I only noticed in the background that the music was just like,
they had that for the driving scenes, definitely. But if you go back and watch it, I think that it has inspirational music where you know it shouldn't be inspiring. And okay, I have to say this. It's the only movie I've ever watched where they've managed to make a GPS screen incredible for chase scenes. I swear to God, I was like, oh, what the fuck is going to happen? Oh, it's the triangle is turning? No fucking way.
So, Nightcrawler. So, there's an issue of morality that I mentioned there briefly, right? So, is it moral to ambulance chase and make money off that? Is it moral to make money from someone else's suffering? This film approaches this very carefully to not make that judgment. It leaves it completely up to us, right? And halfway through the film, I kind of noticed this because it's an interesting topic. And actually they come at both aspects of the morality of news. One, which is addressed in the newsroom over and over again, that a news show shouldn't have to make money. And the other then is, are you not just profiting from people's misery? So he's running around to see all these crashes, but after a while, you want to see them too almost. You want him to get to something cool. And you're almost the Nightcrawler on his left shoulder, right? So it's pulling you in. So I think it's doing that. It's ably demonstrating how easy it is to get sucked into doing this kind of thing. When they were researching this, they actually went out night crawling. What's his name? Dan Gilroy. He wrote the screenplay, and did he direct it? Let me look it up quick. Yes, he directed it as well. He went out, with a couple of Nightcrawlers, 3 of them who were brothers. And, they kind of had a gentleman's agreement with him that if he was going to follow them around, then what he filmed needed to be legit. And the first thing they went to was a car crash, where 3 girls had just been thrown completely out of the car and were in seriously damaged.
Geez,
and it was just, Dan Gilroy said that the images that just live on with him, he'd probably never forget it. Like, meanwhile, you had these really professional people clambering around the wreckage, videoing it all. And it takes you back, I guess, to see when you're so horrified by something that's going on, and this, as they say in the film, someone having the worst day of their life, and these other people are just going about their regular day. This is what we do every night. So, I thought that was interesting, the way they handled that. Like, as Sean mentioned,
Lewis Bloom, like Leopold Bloom, but slightly different.
So Lou is a complete sociopath, and we get more and more into that as the film goes on. But they never really categorize his job one way or another. It's always what he does with it that's right or wrong. And I thought that was a very, very skillful line to tread, because they could easily have picked a direction, and demonstrated a bias. And I don't think they did that. So that was interesting. I thought another interesting approach is I kept waiting for them to tell me, and this is part of the same thing I've just said, right? I'm waiting for them to tell me whether Lou was a good guy or a bad guy, right? And they don't, but as you watch the film and he starts to do crazy stuff, and some of that's hinted at in the trailer, you'll make up your own mind what you think of the guy. But again, they let you draw those conclusions yourself. It's not that he comes into this profession and now he has a label. It's just, this is something that he does, and he's a specific type of guy.
I don't know if I'd agree with you that they absolutely leave it up to you to make the decision. I think when Lou hires his employee, that employee kind of functions as the audience. And he starts saying a lot of the things that we're probably thinking, in that, you're driving really fast, that's pretty safe, what you're asking me to do is pretty unsafe. And, I think the film is definitely steering you towards drawing a particular conclusion about Lou. It's not really that ambiguous.
We can disagree.
Okay.
It's happened before.
I think what I would counter with, though, is that there's a very important, one of the many spiels that Lou has, that Jake Gyllenhaal's Lou has, is that he talks about how the entire, for local news, the entire reports that they have on local politics, like health, expenditure, like genuinely, literally just local
transportation, immigration,
news, local news topics, the things that you would presume local news would be made up of, take up less than an amount of seconds.
22 seconds is what he says in the film.
22 seconds. So it takes less than 22 seconds on them. And then they spend 14 times that long on crashes, which is Lou going, this is the business. And what I think is important about that, in terms of what Mark is saying, is that it's us going, not that he's necessary, but that in the system that has been constructed, someone will be doing Lou's job. Yeah,
but I think the point of the development of Lou is that it's not someone who's just doing Lou's job. He has competitors who are doing the same job as him.
Bill Paxton.
The whole point is that Lou is going above and beyond, let's say. There's some shady areas.
Definitely.
But isn't the comparison that because of the way that Lou is, he's amazing at this job, and what should that mean for this job? And
that's true. That's a valid question. That's something that's definitely being asked in the film.
Which I think is ingenious. Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's an amazing thing. Like, I can imagine equivalents of this being done many times over the next few years. You know, like a pickup artist, for example. If someone was a sociopath, didn't care what people thought about him, or disliked people, would they be better at romantic relationships? You can pick a number of jobs. Like, we know for a fact that Fortune 500 company owners are very likely to be psychopaths, or to at least test as psychopaths on everything that they have, which I think is amazing. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's true.
You weren't the only person that noticed the score, Sean. At the San Diego Film Critics Awards last night, Nightcrawler got 7 awards.
Wow.
Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, Best Score.
Wow.
Did
it get best car as well in a movie?
What was that, Steve?
Did it get best car in a movie as well? The Dodge Challenger SRT 392. I'm not kidding you. 392, 6.1 litres, 470 horsepower.
This is where Steve's vocabulary is
I was
very
gonna
thick.
say, it's
You want to
like,
go fast.
there's
and look
birds
cool,
kind of swinging around my head right
and
now.
you want
That's
to look, in a bit of a muscle car. That's the car.
Yeah.
They didn't
Dodge
mention the car, I'm
Challenger.
afraid, Steve, but it did win a whopping amount. It basically sweeped
That sounds
the
like a
Film
sweet
Critics Award.
to me.
It didn't have
Wow.
best car category. Damn it, yeah.
It got everything but cinematography.
I think we should have a
sounds
best
like.
car category in the
ugh,
bikies.
snore.
The bikies.
Yeah,
When,
'cause-
when are they coming out again?
They're the week after next, aren't they?
Oh, isn't that lovely?
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking back to the movies this year. There's a lot of really cool cars. Begin Again had the massive Jag. How cool was that?
I don't know, man.
I don't know. I'm looking at the
Steve,
tumbleweeds going past
I need to
here. I'm just gonna
re-steer
give
this
up on that now,
conversation
yeah.
away from cars.
I'm going to give up on that now, right? Okay.
No, but Steve, while you're talking, what did you think of this film?
This film, I loved it, and I think all the awards it gets are well deserved. All those you mentioned just there a minute ago. I think it's serious bikey contender here for a number of categories.
Can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah,
Because I feel like someone has to.
yeah.
I love this movie. Like, I completely love it. I thought it was well acted and very well written and all that stuff. I would have liked to have seen a little more. I would like to have seen a little more, I guess, what's the word? I mean, climax or explosion in terms of Lou's development, which I understand was a choice. It wasn't that they didn't think that they should. It
Do
was
you
like,
think it would have been a better movie if it had?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
All I know is that there was one scene and only one scene where Lou actually yelled, where he actually got big.
Yeah.
And I thought that if that had been applied maybe one other time, especially because I thought I think maybe it was me expecting it, but especially
Yeah,
towards the
well-
end of the film, I don't know, because what we were left with was very. I'm not going to spoil anything, but what we were left with was not very punchy, for example, which it might sound like a very minute and silly critique, but it's true. I think I didn't expect more out of the ending. Maybe I just expected something different.
Okay, is that a question?
Well, I'm saying that, and I'm wondering, well, maybe it would have been a better movie. I don't know. I think there's a lot of ways you could have gone with this.
No, you know what? I think it was just fine. The way it was, you know, I don't think I too was expecting the character to blow up more than he did, but it wouldn't have been the same character then. He would have been more of a
Exactly.
nut job, complete nut job, rather than a calm, calculated.
Yeah.
He knew what he was after. He didn't need to be a violent lunatic to get there, and I think that's like his interactions with Bill Paxton.
Yep.
They're
Beautiful.
fantastic as well, you know. And
Beautiful. Yeah.
and he was being slagged off, and but he didn't rise to it, and he just went, "No, I know what I'm doing. Go for it, man. Whatever you're doing, go for it. I don't care." You know.
I think that the ending was perfect. I don't think it could have gone any other way without being real to the character.
Yeah.
And I think for the same reason, I think part of what makes him so terrifying is the fact that he's so cold and calculated. He doesn't really lose it. That's not like everything is so contained. He's this hot volcanic mess inside. And
it's just under the surface there
it's
somewhere.
just
because we're
there.
shown that at the
But
very
a
start as
volcano
well.
is a Chekhov's gun.
We're shown.
If you don't get to see the volcano go off.
But I think you do, because he channels it into premeditating, getting people in the corners, manipulating people,
But we see him get
figuring
violent
out how to do
too,
his job.
at the start, at the very very start.
Yeah.
security guard.
Yeah.
Well, one of his first most important lines is, "I like to guard things,"
Yeah.
which we're not sure is even true. There's a number of lines that are incredibly well written that he says about himself,
Yeah.
which I think are great to track throughout the movie. I guess all I'm saying is, I liked it enough that I wonder what happens afterwards.
I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
this again, I think.
And when you stop the story. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Because I don't know. That guy either becomes, I don't know, like maybe he's the numero hunter, maybe he gets stabbed to fucking death. I don't know. Depending on how this film ends and how his story ends weeks later, I'm not sure. His legacy?
Do you think there'll be a Nightcrawler 2?
Nah.
No.
Nah.
I don't.
This guy's
I
going to
hope
go
there
make
isn't, you know
another
that.
Oscar
Yeah.
movie
Yeah.
in 7 months, is
Yeah.
what I think is going to happen. And Jake Gyllenhaal will say, can I please be in it? And the guy will go, yeah, grand, yeah.
Yeah. Her too.
Her, too.
Yeah, so, yeah, I love this. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. It was one
You
of,
should- you
one
should
of my
mark it, Steve.
faves. I should mark it,
You should mark it, yeah.
This is up there. It's up there, you know? I mean, it's really up there.
Steve, come on.
See,
Run the show, man.
no half marks. Yeah.
Yeah, no half marks, man. What would you give it if there were half marks, though? Because, I mean,
8.5.
that's completely arbitrary
8.5.
and silly that we don't have half
Let's
marks.
see. So I'm on the fence now whether it's an 8 or 9. I'm going to go with 9 because I really enjoyed it. Yeah, this is a great movie. Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. So yeah, it's 9 from me.
Mark?
Mark.
I won't watch this film again.
Ah.
Well, that's not a criteria for a mark.
No.
I enjoyed the journey. It made me think quite a bit while I was watching it. Like Sean, I was waiting for a bit more of a climax. And I wouldn't have minded a bit more of a morality tale aspect to it because that feeds into my my vanilla taste in films. But I appreciate why that wasn't there at the same time. I think it's an 8 for me. All that being said, it's an 8. It's a very good film. People should definitely watch it.
Shona.
I thought you might go to Sean next.
No, Sean.
As someone who typically gets very scared during this type of film, I wasn't sure what to expect. And I thought it was amazing, even for people with weak stomachs. It built so well, and the acting was incredible. I think I would like to watch it again because I'm really interested. I don't think this movie is so much about plot as it is about character development, or at least character exposure. And I'd like to see his performance again and maybe pick up on other layers and nuances. I'm also stuck, Steve, where you were stuck. And I think I'll give it an 8. Yeah. Really strong movie. Also strongly recommended.
You see, it's interesting that you're talking about looking for character nuances, because the thing that I had going in that Jake Gyllenhaal never really shook off for me, not that it wasn't an amazing performance, but what he never shook off was, this is the character. Like, when you say character exposure, I completely agree, Shona. I don't think this character developed or changed. He just did more things. And if that was the way they were going, I think that's another reason that he could have done more. While realizing that, of course, his character was very specifically subtle and realistic and manipulative rather than big and explosive. So I'm stuck in the exact same chasm, in the same uncanny valley that ye are. So to balance the scales of the podcast review so that we actually do end up with an 8.5, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10.
All right.
All right.
Good man. I think you're right.
Yeah, I think so as well. I usually do, though. Good job, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
job with what you are doing with your
movie.
acting
And Rene
ability.
Russo. Well
Oh,
done,
Rene
Rene
Russo.
Russo.
Good job, Rene
Fantastic.
Russo, also with what you are doing. Good job, Bill Paxton. We should be friends.
Okay. So next up we have. Did anyone see Marco Polo?
Yeah, I saw it.
You saw Marco? Great. Next
Sorry,
up we're going to talk about Marco Polo. Then.
Marco?
Polo.
Thank you.
Ah, well done.
Yeah. So Marco Polo. This is about Marco Polo.
I didn't know the history behind him, by the way, so I was glad that Netflix showed us that much.
Yeah. So they show. I guess did they show? I can't remember.
Well, they do the
show
whole,
history?
like, the story at the beginning. I always call them, Star Wars openers, you know, when they
yeah.
have text on the screen and they tell you the background.
Yeah.
So Marco Polo was the son of, like, a merchant in Venice.
Yeah.
And, ends up in, like,
The merchant fecked off with his uncle. Did you know this?
It's an opening crawl.
Yeah. So the merchant.
Sean
fecked off
always
with
has the
uncle.
vocabulary for
Oh, there
stuff.
you go, yeah. I was talking to him. Yeah.
I'm a massive
Sorry.
nerd who used
So-
to not have friends.
And so then when the uncle and father came back, Marco had never met his father.
Polo.
Oh, yeah.
So he's just like, oh, how are you? And he's going, you know, when you're going, Mom's died, so I'll go with you. And there he's like, grand. So, well, he wasn't really grand.
Actually, he's like, no,
stowed
you
away.
can't.
Yeah.
And then he snuck on the ship.
So then, as soon as he could, he offloaded him with the Kublai Khan.
Genghis Khan? No.
Kublai, which is the grandson.
Oh, right, okay.
Couple of cans.
Couple of cans, I like it. So,
He becomes a slave slash
yeah, and he's educated by them
protege?
in...
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
In
Saint
ways of
Patrick.
like
I don't know. And
calligraphy-ish.
Matrix Kung Fu
Caligula.
fighting.
The that was totally a throwback to the Matrix. I was watching that. I'm like,
it was the same room.
it was amazing. That was really, because like the shtick, is it also in the Matrix where the teacher is blind, but he's just so good he doesn't need to see to kung fu your ass?
I thought it was like a Jedi Knight thing he was doing.
I don't know. It was pretty cool anyways. So yeah, he learns like martial arts,
Yeah.
a calligraphy,
Swordmanship,
hieroglyphics of some kind.
history,
Like Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like Batman, though.
He becomes skilled in
much,
the ways.
Yeah.
Which is
Is
pretty
he attractive?
Yeah, of course.
Well, perfect,
You know,
then.
he's Italian. He had to learn English for the part.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I was actually wondering about his linguistic background.
Yeah.
Because part of the shtick is when, you know, his father is selling him to the cans, he's saying, you know, he speaks languages really well. Because your guy's talking in English, but then he has scenes in the beginning where he's speaking in Italian.
Yeah.
And then, does he speak other languages in this movie? He's learning the languages of
Marco
the...
never spoke Latin.
Polo.
Yeah.
But he's called Latin by his...
Yeah, he is, because he's from whatever.
Yeah, Italy, yeah.
The other empire. Yeah.
So, what were the performances in the script and the score like?
Not fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't his...
No.
Wasn't as Nightcrawler as
It was a
Nightcrawler.
bit more History Channel-y.
Yeah, it was kind of like you could see they had a big budget, but they kind of made it look low budget.
You know what? They had a massive budget.
Yeah.
Massive. Like we were talking massive.
Yeah, in the
Like
way that
90
Netflix
million
will
or something,
get.
you know, something
What did you say,
ridiculous.
Steve? One of the most expensive.
TV shows this year, yeah. Yeah. And
Crazy.
I read that, yeah.
Filmed in-
You wouldn't get that looking at it, though.
Malaysia, Kazakhstan, and was South Africa? Was the other place? I can't remember.
So they spent the money on Mai Tais and blowjobs, is what you're saying.
No.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to cast aspersions.
Most
but
of-
they definitely did that, though.
You know, what I got out of this was the educational side of it.
Yeah, that part was pretty cool. And I like it when the big head honcho takes him into this, like, sex tent. I don't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
What?
Mark, do you watch TV shows for their educational content?
Almost never, Sean.
That's really interesting. Maybe it's because we're brothers or because we're normal human beings.
You don't watch
but I feel the
documentaries
same.
either?
I was just gonna say that. High
That's
five.
oh, you guys watch documentaries. Now we know where the cool side of the couch is,
Excuse
and
me.
it's where my butt is. You guys go on
your
and
butt's
talk
not
about what
even
you
on the
learned.
couch.
Go
Listen.
talk about what you learned.
She makes comics.
All right, fine.
Remember
I
that?
was just gonna say it. She Makes Comics was an amazing documentary, Sean.
So, anyway.
Reviewed on this very podcast. Only
Marco.
Polo.
Yeah, so, anyway.
No, so educational stuff, but no.
Educational stuff, yeah.
So when he's called into the sex tent, and you're, I don't know what else to
Did he
call
blow
it.
his load? Did he?
No, he didn't. That was the test.
That was the test.
The big can was just like, you're gonna walk through here on the
He's
way
like,
out.
you can't.
Walk through like the 5 rooms of glory, or I don't know what they were called.
Glory holes.
And no, there's so much more. And it's all these temptresses who are experts in the ways of the sex,
Describe it in intimate detail.
boobs.
That was good,
kissing.
actually. Yeah, I'm done.
And so they start, you know, I thought when he said, because the big can guy says to him, but there is no touching. This is a test of your loyalty. There is no touching. So the man walks out, and I thought he was just gonna like,
No touching.
I thought on his way out of the tent, he'd be like, how are ya? How's it going? And kind of leave the tent. But instead, he's pulled into a sex room with all
he
these
kinda
women being all
lingers.
like
Yeah.
sexy times on him. And then you see him kind of stumbling out of the tent later, presumably, pent up with stress and unrelieved tension.
Boners.
What do you mean?
Blue balls.
Oh,
Total blue balls.
yeah. Absolutely.
So I don't know why I'm bringing up that particular scene in the
Is that the
in show.
informational part of the Marco Polo, is it?
That you got out of it.
Tell us more about what you learned about blue balls. Erectile malfunction.
It was good seeing his training. I'd agree with you. Like,
Ugh,
Yeah.
It's training, is that what you call it?
Yeah. It was part of it. It was all the cultural training, because on his way out, he saw a lot of the admirals and generals and stuff, and they're being tended to.
Filleted. Felt up.
Probably.
Can I ask, is this a miniseries or is this what?
It is, yeah.
How many episodes do we know?
I don't know, actually.
How long was
I don't
this
know
one?
either. I thought this was a TV show. I didn't know it was a
Yeah.
mini series.
How long was this one?
An
pilot?
hour?
an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
As pilots go, I would say it doesn't have kind of that stench that pilots sometimes have, where it's a bit underdeveloped.
The pilots suck rule.
Yeah.
Because pilots do.
I would have to say, now that I've gotten into Suits, I have to give them credit for their pilot, because from the pilot, the characters are as developed as they are.
And you were in there.
Yeah.
They're all shallow as fuck. But,
Yeah. But the characters are really well defined in that pilot.
That's fair. There are
that
good
stuck
pilots.
out to me when I was watching it. Anyways, so this didn't have that feeling of being unfinished or unthought out. Like, clearly Netflix don't have to like create a pilot quickly and shoddily, sell it to somebody and then get it made. So the benefit is that from the start, I have the feeling that the rest of the episodes are going to follow on in this vein. I don't think.
Marco Polo is a Netflix thing.
Yeah.
I did not realize this. It's from Netflix.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a Netflix, Weinstein production, I think.
Yeah.
The original.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think, it's probably a bit more fleshed out than other pilots would be. Which is good, but I think the downside to that means that we're probably not going to see much improvement in terms of the show itself in later episodes. I think what we've seen in the pilot is probably, what the show is going to look
very
like.
interesting point.
There's 10 episodes in it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'd be
And
curious.
they're available right now.
The thing that's interesting about Marco Polo is that, you know the name. Marco.
Polo.
But I don't know why I know the name. So I'm kind of interested to see, like, who the hell is this guy whose name I've been shouting in
Yeah,
the pool?
these guys, their journey down to the shops, they'd be gone for 24 years. And then they'd come back, and then they'd head off again, and then come back and then retire because they've made so much money on what they've brought back and forth. But I think Marco Polo, he wasn't the first European to go over to the Far East, but he was, I think, one of the first to chronicle it. And to find like the Silk Road and not get murdered many times in the face.
That's a big skill, yeah.
Yeah, so he actually wrote about Japan and stuff, and that was the first insight into, especially Japan was a bit of a hermit kingdom at the time, into that culture for the rest of the world. Yeah.
Here's my question,
Or
right?
Europe anyway, at that time, I guess.
Here's my question. Should this be a 10-hour Netflix series, or should this be a 2-hour film?
I don't know yet.
I would have to see the other shows to tell you.
It sounds like you guys want to watch the other shows.
Well, I'm...
Which from your review, I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you guys are.
I think based on our ranking scale of killer and thriller, I'd give this a thriller because I would see more.
Sorry, Shauna, did you just say killer and thriller?
I always confuse our rating scale every single time. What is it? Filler and killer.
Killer would be a good thing, probably. And then thriller would also be a good thing.
So you're going to give it a thriller?
Well, I want to see... I think I would watch another episode. I like stuff on Netflix anyways. I find it easy to watch. Yeah. And it's...
I like how lazy I can be. That's my favorite part about Netflix shows.
Well, listen, I can watch what I want. And I like to, before I go to bed, I like to watch something on Netflix where it's just like half an hour of something entertaining.
I like to write letters to friends back home and then masturbate. But I mean, different strokes for different penises. I mean, folks.
Mark, save us, please.
Not sure that I can, Steve.
So no one can save you now.
What do you call it?
Yeah, I think I'll watch another one just because it's available to me.
You know what? I think I'll watch another one too. Like we said at the very start, it's not fantastic writing, score, acting.
It's kind of like Houdini. When they were like, here's the story, we're just gonna fucking do it.
You know,
I liked
do
Houdini.
you remember? Yeah, kind of. It's more like Da Vinci. Do you remember that one?
Da Vinci's Demons.
Yeah, it's more like that, but it's not quite
that
it's
show,
got more money on it, you know?
It's got more money, but less incident. Because Da Vinci's Demons was all about, look at this thing, and now he does another thing. Here's the next episode, and now there's more action. This seems, the way you're describing this seems it's more like journey.
I think we need to see more to see what his journey is going to be, because it's not clear to me yet.
I don't even know if, are they going to follow him on the journey, or is it just going to
I
be
don't
him
know.
exploring
Well,
the cans?
I assume it's going to tell us why Marco Polo is a famous name and why we shout his name in pool games. That's what I want to learn. I want to get from this pilot to why there's a game in pool where I say Marco
Polo.
Oh no, that's a cartoon that Sam watched.
Honestly,
it's called Marco Polo.
Can I just suggest a website, Shona? It's called Wikipedia.
No, see, I don't like history to ruin my entertainment.
Marco Polo ? Then click videos. Then click the first one. I mean, I'm not trying to rag on this thing that I didn't watch. All I'm saying is there's a reason I didn't fucking watch it.
Such a snob.
I'm not a snob. I just hate everything.
You know what? I'm going to give this Thriller.
Yeah, and I already did, so.
You're going to give it a killer, are you?
Give it a killer, yeah.
Fair enough.
It was killer.
Fair enough. That's fine. No, I respect you. It's
Maybe
fine.
killer is like the ultimate thriller.
Well, let's not try and rescue our mistakes.
Story of my life.
So, okay, next up we have some previews. We're going to do bicycle. There you go. So the first one is Inside Out. Mark, tell us about this one.
So imagine that we're all spaceships. Only, no, we're robots.
Better.
Imagine that we're all robots and
Okay.
there's like five dudes inside you, some of whom are dudettes.
Ugh.
And they specialize because sometimes that helps with, performing jobs.
Like
And one guy
balls
is
and
responsible for when you want to make the robot angry, and he's like a squat red dude. And then when you want to be more diplomatic, you go to the purple skinny chick.
Fear.
Or fear. Yeah. And they control the robot, and they show how the crews of the woman, man, and child spaceships react differently to the same scenario.
So this is a film from Pixar, trying to show how the emotions interact within a person. And it seems like it takes place over the course of a night, with a young girl trying to deal with her family. And Pixar are good at making movies almost exactly like this.
Yeah.
But this is the most, I don't know,
Pixar-ish.
movie that they've made in a long while. This is not Cars 2. This is not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, this is a very specific, this isn't Brave even. It's
High
like,
concept. Yeah.
high concept.
It looks like fun.
It looks like
a lot of
fun. And if
God,
I know
I don't know,
Pixar,
guys. Have we not seen this before, though?
There used to be
Where?
a comic. There used
Where,
to be a
Mark?
comic that you used to have.
Yeah,
exactly
what women
this.
want.
what women want? No, I don't think so. I
Yeah.
think it's closer to something like Osmosis Jones, which is a good movie about bacteria as opposed to emotions. It's about like microbiotic things with Bill Murray and with various voice actors. But I think this is going to be more original, and I think it's going to tug at heartstrings in a way that movie didn't. I genuinely think that we're going to see someone, and I think, based on what I've read, that the daughter has a problem with depression. I actually think that this is going to be serious shit, that children can learn about these problems and issues and hopefully be able to figure out that, oh, I have emotions and that's okay, and I can deal with these in X, Y, and Z ways.
I was talking to someone the other day about some kids' movies, and
Was it a child? That's who I talked to. That's who I talked about these
it was an
movies.
adult. I forget which adult,
Okay,
though.
well, that's your first mistake. Just go on.
But they were saying, that like so many kids' movies nowadays, or the well-done ones, there's always two layers, and there's the layer for the kids that they'll get like the jokes and the bright colors and the comedy, and then there's the layer for the adults, and it's, as soon, like I'd never heard of this film, I didn't know this film existed until I saw the trailer, and the first thing I thought was, this is definitely Pixar. And the second thing is that, like, this looks hilarious. I mean, who hasn't had a conversation with someone where there is one thing being said and a completely other conversation going on in your head where you're thinking, like, God, would I just shut up now? What am I saying? God, I laugh really loud. What's he doing? And, so I'm kind of really interested to see a funny kids movie about serious stuff about that exact thing.
Do you know what's interesting about their marketing strategy is that they released a teaser a while back. And what it did was it outlined a series of emotions that Pixar has made people feel by showing clips of those emotions in various movies.
Oh, really?
So they were like sadness, and they showed clips from Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., etc., Toy Story, and they showed happiness, joy, whatever it was. They showed an anger. They showed these four things, whatever the main characters are in this film, based on the big emotions.
Yeah.
They showed them, and then a very small, tiny teaser of these characters from Inside Out. But what I think is genius about that is when you think of, it used to be Disney, but when you think of movies that have made you have emotions that are animated, Pixar is pretty much immediately what springs to mind. And the idea that if they can make you go, oh, I get it, those characters felt like this with those people in their heads, or I felt like this watching these movies. They can make that connection and make it real in any way before we watch the film. And I'm sure they're going to do a lot more work in that in Act 1 in the film. But if they can do that, then I think everyone's going to buy in immediately.
Yeah.
Who watched Up and cried in the first 10 minutes?
Me, and then I hated it and didn't watch the rest.
A fuck ton of people, that's who. So I'm very excited about this film.
Do we know, is it just the head they're in, or is there different departments?
I don't want to ask those questions because I know Pixar are going to figure out ways to mess with the formula. I think it's going to be heads, but for multiple things.
This I'm just showing the guys here a picture. It's a comic that used to be a comic strip that used to be in, I think, the Beano.
I read that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Something nuts. I can't remember. Some head nuts or.
I read it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it used to be one that I really, really liked.
Mm-hmm.
I like. Yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Yeah, I'd like to see it explored further. Yeah,
All right.
It's funny.
Well, I'm
Okay.
excited about it too.
So next one is Cup. What was it?
Knight of
Knight of
Cups.
Knight of
Cups.
Cups.
Which I think is a tarot card reference.
I believe so as well. I was going to look up tarot cards, but then I realized I didn't want the devil to take my soul. So I decided instead I'd go to a Wajui board.
Isn't it the Knight of Cups? Isn't it the tarot the game? It's in rather than tarot, the Mystic Meg tarot.
I don't know what you're
I
talking
mean,
about.
tarot cards and Mystic Meg are similar.
Well, no, there's tarot cards that you play a game with. They're not.
Well, they're meant to like predict the future for the person you do a reading for.
Oh yeah. Okay, so there's a prediction side of it, the Mystic Meg side of it, and then there's the game side of it.
I didn't
know
know
there was a game that wasn't to do with prediction.
Oh yeah, it's just like French poker. You know, they play a lot of it. You know.
Oh.
Is this true? I'm learning new stuff, and I don't like that. I'm not a fan at all about this. Let me tell the people about Knight of Cups.
Okay.
It's about Christian Bale.
Is it ever?
That's all I got from the trailer. Honest to God, what I got from
There's
the trailer
women
was
jumping in water.
yes, Christian Bale is in the film, and then there are women, and he likes them, and they like him, but that's bad for some reason. And then he doesn't know what to do about his romantic relationships. It's directed by Terrence Malick, which I presume is why. And then he's maybe got a crisis of identity, but we don't really know about the plot specifics of that. All we really see is that he's having a great time. And then Antonio Banderas says, sometimes you like raspberry, and sometimes you like strawberry.
So anyway, this looks good. In
But
a Don
why, though?
Hemingway kind of way.
But
No,
why though?
That
just looks
that
like
sums up my
actually
experience.
thrillery.
As I was watching, I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. But then I was like, but why does it look interesting? What did I just learn?
It's got music and fast-paced stuff. And,
It's true, it's pretty.
and it's got good catch lines. And
Good catch
catch
lines.
Yeah,
Like fishing.
they caught me.
They caught you
lines
inside
caught
of their
me, yeah.
web of catch lines.
Catchphrases, sorry. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mark, you gonna watch this?
This one was weird, Steve. The trailer was a bit weird. I was kind of wondering what it was about for a lot of it.
Yeah, we're all still
but
wondering.
it strikes me as a film I'm not that pushed about watching as well.
I think
I think it was a great trailer.
I think it's a thing where we're going to get another trailer about 2 months before it comes out, or a month before it comes out, that tells us more about what it is.
A bit like Birdman.
Yeah, where it's going to
Yeah.
go, you've seen some interesting stuff and you're going to
Yeah.
remember the images that you saw, and
Yeah.
maybe even the trailer itself.
Maybe
Now,
even
this
the
is what
order
it's
they were showing
about.
it.
So the Bikies, the annual Is It a Bicycle Awards, where we pick the absolute best of everything and then throw away most of those and pick the categories that you care about. We're going to be talking about best film, best TV, best pretender, best pretendress, and a bunch of other categories, including our user category, where Steve is going to announce the lucky winner of an Is It a Bicycle TV t-shirt. TV and film t-shirt. T-shirt. Maybe you should just wear it. Don't put it on your TV. So that's probably going to be hitting the podcast feed on the 2nd of January. So once you've gotten over your New Year's Eve hangover, we give you a day to recover from that, and then bam, we'll be right there in your podcatchers. But the bad news is, right, so that was the good news. You asked for the good news first, which I think personally was a mistake. That's the way it came out.
It's not how I would have done it, but listen,
I wouldn't have done it that way either, Shona. I'm right there with you. So
take the bad news.
the bad news is that the podcast you're listening to now is going to be the last one until the 2nd of January. You're going to have to take a full week off without us, guys, to
To celebrate
dilute.
Christmas,
I
though,
mean,
it's okay.
dilute. No, I mean, comfort your ears. So that's the Bikies, Steve.
Can't wait. My first bikies, guys. I'm so excited. I've been researching and doing homework like a mofo.
You know that we lock ourselves in a hotel room for 7 days, though, right?
And when we let out white smoke from the room, everyone knows that the bikies have been agreed upon.
Do you understand?
Listen, as long as I get takeaway, I'm fine with that.
That's not in the deal. That's not in the budget. We have enough takeaway for 1.5 mics.
There's no Netflix.
Okay, listen.
We have
I'll show up.
Netflix.
I'll show up if there's food.
Next week, depending on whether I'm feeling enthusiastic enough or not, there may be a best of season 6. So we'll leave it there. So from Mark, Sean, Shona, and Steve, stay classy.